we're back again, and you can tell it's a different day. I got a different shirt on. So this is the pot that I threw the other day, so I'm going to go ahead and trim a foot on the bottom. And what I'm going to do, I'm looking on the interior at the bottom of the interior base, and I'm trying to decide how wide the foot's going to be. And I'm looking, kind of measuring the interior base, and it's almost equal with the rim at the top. So I want to say this is probably where this is going to be the diameter of the base, so that this wall can come down and rest upon the foot. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of look at the base, and it's going to be about this wide. Get an idea, make a mark here. Approximately, I'm just making a mark on the bottom of the pot, that's going to be the diameter of the foot, so that wall can rest upon that foot. The interior circular will be about right there, so that foot's going to be about right here. It should relate to the base on the inside, so that I know where that wall's going to go. Now the next thing I need to do, I'm going to see how thick the foot is. And I'm just going to stick my hand in and the needle tool and go right through the bottom, mark that needle tool, pull it out. And this is how thick the bottom of the pot is. So using my trim tool, trusty trim tool, if I trim out the thickness of this trim tool, it will end up being 1/4 of an inch. So this is what's going to be left over. So I will trim the width of the trim tool out for the foot rim. Next thing I have to think about will be how much clay is in this wall right here. And I'm just going to stab the wall. I'm going to look inside until it comes through the pot. Back it off just a little bit. And that's how thick my wall is. 1/8 of an inch out of this wall. So between my fingernails is how much is going to be trimmed out, to leaving 1/4 of an inch. So I don't have a whole lot to trim out of that wall on the outside. All right, so I've got a plan on how much I'm going to trim out. This is on a Giffen grip. There are potters that think it's a cop-out to use a Giffen grip. I see it as a tool, an extra tool that I use for trimming pots. It doesn't bother me at all. It's like using a computer or whatever. It's just an aid. I do believe in using whatever technology, whatever you have to work with. Alright. Tightening it up. Now I'm going to see if it's on center. Close enough. I'm going to take the rasp. I'm going to take the rasp and go ahead and rasp out a little bit off center. Let's do it. One arm that's putting an angle. It's not a good, true grip on this pot. I'm determined. All right. Now, since I've gotten this close to where I want the foot rim to be, I'm going to go ahead and create the edge of the foot rim. And I've already trimmed. When you're trimming and the clay is just right, when I say the clay is just right, it is dried out sufficiently so that you can trim it. The clay should literally fly off of the wheel. It should not stick. If it's too soft, it will stick. If it's too dry, it will create a powder, and it's just trimming will just be loose everywhere. Too much dust. This right here, I call this the beginner's bump. Most beginners do not trim this out. You leave that. And what I want is a nice straight edge from my fingernail at the top to the fingernail at the bottom. A nice clean edge going across that. And this is what most beginning students do not take out. So it creates the nice contour line going down into the pot. creating that contour edge flowing from here into the pot. And I'm going to drop this to 1/4 inch on the thickness of this tool. Probably need to bring it down just a little bit. Drop the center, thickness that I want, which should be the thickness of this tool. The next thing I want you to know, I'm almost completely finished the outside first. I want the outside trim to foot around where I want it to be. If I do anything, it's touch-up work on the outside. I have it established, and then I do the inside. Take this down to the depth that I want, which will be the thickness of this tool. Outside edge, using the corner of the tool to trim the clay. The corner, the less tool that touches the clay, the less chances of it actually digging into the clay and causing a major problem. If I'm trimming like this, a little too much clay comes out, it's easy to catch. I start out with this, then I end up with the flat part of the trimming tool. These are Dolan trim tools. These are the best. I think they're the best. The best that I've used. And I feel like I could be a Dolan representative. I really do like the Dolan tools. Keep their edge. Now I'm going into the flat part. After I trimmed away with the corner, I can go in and trim the ribbons flat. Still want to go down about the depth of this trim is what I want. You see the measurement, how I measured. I can take a needle tool, put this in, take a needle tool, and kind of see the thickness. That's where I want to be. And I could go down just a little bit more. This is just about right. Okay? So it's this thickness. And that's from the measurement that I took. Every pot's a little bit different. Take it just a touch deeper. And then I'll take this donut out right here. I take it out with the corner of the trim tool. And then I can go back and take the flat edge, take that out, take the corner. And this is for beginning students to use that. Advanced students might be able to take it out completely with the flat part of the tool. Once you get experience, you kind of know what that touch is, that pressure. And if you notice, I'm bracing. Elbows braced, this hand coming across and bracing my right hand. My left hand is braced for my right. So every time I can find a brace this tool, I do. Tool that help level the bottom. Push the bottoms level. Outside, you get it in. Nice and clean. Take off the sharp edges. I say that a lot in my class. Make it so that whenever this pot ever does reach a beautiful table or a cabinet, a very special cabinet, it won't be scratching the cabinet. It'll be nice and even. I'll take my finger and go back in and kind of round it. It's the same thing as what we did earlier with the bridging. I'll bridge it with dry clay. And then next to the last thing, I'll come in with this, call it a tongue depressor, but I'm sure that's not what you go to buy it, that's what it is. It's just a nice little flat piece of wood that I can go back in and compress. I'm compressing. I've been working all this time about 3 o'clock. That's usually where I trim. 3 to 4 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock on this particular piece as I'm looking down on the radius of the circle diameter. If it was a clock. It would be right here, right now would be 3 o'clock. Compressing the bottom, pressing the outside. Kind of tightens up the clay. Sometimes it's a little bit loose. It's going to be aesthetically pleasing. And I'm looking for my tools to design my pot with. Sometimes I use this porcupine quill. It makes a nice story, but you don't have to have a porcupine quill to sign your name. A sharpened pencil works pretty well. And what I like to do, I like to have a normal signature so that people can read my name. I think it's important that when you sign your pot, it becomes a very personal thing. You can see the name. And all those little scrap pieces of clay that's in there, once it's dry, they come right off, or I can just kind of rub them right now. Little pieces of clay go back in the line. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of nice. So that the bottom now has a foot that is a visual finial to the bottom of the pot, so that there's a separation between the foot and the table it's sitting on. It also casts a shadow down here, which creates even more of a finial, of a finished piece at the bottom in relationship to the finial of the rim at the top. And then this is your body of the piece right here, which is your neck, your collar, your foot, and your body, and then the shoulder. So it has all these parts to it that needs to be thought about, and that you get the relationship of the entire piece together. And that's about it for trimming. And one thing I didn't say is that when I made the piece, I let it sit in the cabinet overnight with plastic down so that it wouldn't dry too fast. The next day I turned it over and I let it dry for about 8 hours so that the bottom would be dry enough that I could trim it. And then after 8 hours I could stick my fingernail into the clay, and I could tell, and I put it, that was just right, and I put it in a plastic bag airtight so I could trim it this morning.